Imagine you are sitting in your favorite coffee shop. You are connected to the free Wi-Fi, scrolling through your emails, and maybe checking your bank balance. Everything feels normal. The world around you is solid, the coffee is warm, and your digital life seems tucked away safely behind a glass screen. But what if I told you that in this very moment, there are invisible threads being pulled all around you? What if the network you are using is a trap? The email you just opened is a deceptive whisper, and the very hardware in your pocket has vulnerabilities that people across the ocean are trying to exploit right now? We live in a world where our reality is built on a foundation of code, and where there is code, there are people looking for the cracks. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the invisible battlefield of the 21st century. We are explaining every major type of cyber attack in detail. This isn't just about hackers in hoodies. It's about the fundamental way our digital society can be dismantled, manipulated, and held for ransom. If you have ever wondered how a single click can take down an electrical grid or how a password you thought was clever can be cracked in seconds, stay tuned. We are going deep into the mechanics of digital chaos. We have to start with the most common and arguably the most successful form of cyber attack, and that is phishing. You probably think you are too smart to fall for this. You think of phishing as those poorly written emails from distant royalty promising you millions of dollars. But modern phishing is a psychological masterpiece. It is the art of human hacking, also known as social engineering. A sophisticated phishing attack doesn't look like spam. It looks like a legitimate security alert from your bank, a shipping update from a major retailer, or a frantic message from your boss. The goal is to create a sense of urgency or fear that bypasses your critical thinking. When you click that link, you aren't going to the real website. You are going to a perfect digital duplicate designed to harvest your credentials. There is even a more targeted version called spear phishing, where the attacker researches you personally. They know where you work, who your friends are, and what projects you are working on. They craft an email so specific that it feels impossible to be fake. When phishing goes after a high-ranking executive, it's called whaling. It is the beginning of almost every major corporate breach you hear about in the news. It is the moment the front door is open from the inside. But what happens after the door is opened? That's where malware comes in. Malware is a broad umbrella term for malicious software designed to infiltrate, damage, or gain unauthorized access to a computer system. One of the most famous types is the virus. Much like a biological virus, a digital virus needs a host file to survive. When you run an infected program, the virus executes its code and tries to spread itself to other files on your system. It's a parasitic relationship. Then you have worms. Worms are more dangerous because they don't need a host or human interaction to spread. They are standalone pieces of software that exploit vulnerabilities in network protocols to jump from one computer to another automatically. A single worm can infect thousands of machines across a global network in a matter of minutes, clogging up bandwidth and creating a digital epidemic. Then there are Trojans, named after the ancient Greek story. A Trojan appears to be something useful or fun, a free game, a system utility, or an educational tool. But hidden inside is a malicious payload. When you install the useful software, you are also installing the attacker's tools. This leads us to one of the most frightening forms of malware, ransomware. Imagine waking up to find that every single photo, document, and work file on your computer has been encrypted. You can see the files, but you can't open them. A message pops up on your screen demanding a payment in cryptocurrency in exchange for the decryption key. Ransomware has become a billion-dollar industry, targeting hospitals, schools, and entire city governments. It turns your own data into a weapon against you. It is a digital kidnapping, where the victim is often left with no choice but to pay or lose their digital life forever. While ransomware is loud and obvious, spyware is the opposite. Spyware is designed to be invisible. It sits in the background of your operating system, quietly monitoring everything you do. Some forms of spyware are keyloggers, which record every single keystroke you make, every password you type, every private message you send, and every credit card number you enter is bundled up and sent back to the attacker's server. There is also adware, which might seem like just an annoyance with pop-up ads, but it often tracks your browsing habits and sells that data to third parties. Or worse, serves as a gateway for more dangerous infections. The psychological discomfort of spyware comes from the realization that you are never truly alone when you are online. There could be a silent observer watching through your webcam, or listening through your microphone right now. Now let's move into the mechanics of the network itself. One of the most powerful attacks on a website or online service is the distributed denial of service attack, or DDoS. Think of a DDoS attack like 1,000 people trying to walk through the same narrow doorway at the exact same time. None of them can get through, and the doorway becomes useless. In the digital world, an attacker uses a botnet, a network of thousands of infected computers, cameras, and smart devices spread across the globe, to flood a target server with an overwhelming amount of traffic. The server can't handle the load and crashes, taking the website or service offline. DDoS attacks are often used for political protest, corporate sabotage, or as a distraction, while a more subtle hack is happening elsewhere. It's a brute force method of silencing a voice or shutting down a business by simply overwhelming the infrastructure of the internet. Speaking of the infrastructure, we have to talk about man-in-the-middle attacks. This is exactly what it sounds like. An attacker positions themselves between two parties who think they are communicating directly with each other. Imagine you are at that coffee shop we mentioned earlier. If an attacker has set up a rogue Wi-Fi hotspot that looks like the shop's official network, all your data flows through their laptop before it goes to the internet. They can see your unencrypted traffic, steal your session cookies, and even alter the data you receive. You might think you are logging into your email, but the man in the middle has intercepted your request and is showing you a fake login page. This can also happen through DNS spoofing. The domain name system is the phone book of the internet. It translates a website name like google.com into an IP address. If an attacker can poison the DNS cache, they can redirect you to a malicious IP address even if you typed the correct URL into your browser. It's a digital sleight of hand that makes the very foundations of the web feel untrustworthy. But what if the attack isn't on the user, but on the code itself? This leads us to injection attacks, with SQL injection being the most prominent. Many websites use databases to store user information. When you log in or search for a product, the website sends a query to the database. An attacker can input malicious code into an entry field, like a search bar or a login box, that tricks the database into executing commands it wasn't supposed to. It can force the database to dump every username and password in its system, or even delete the entire database. It's like a person walking into a bank and saying a magic word that makes all the vault doors swing open. It highlights the vulnerability of the back-end systems that power the internet. If the developers haven't properly sanitized the inputs, the website can be turned against itself. Related to this is cross-site scripting, or XSS. Instead of attacking the database, XSS attacks the users of a website. The attacker finds a way to inject a malicious script into a web page that other people will view. When you visit that page, your browser executes the script because it thinks it's a legitimate part of the site. This script can steal your login cookies, redirect you to another site, or even download malware onto your computer. XSS turns a trusted website into a delivery vehicle for poison. It's particularly dangerous because even if you are careful about where you browse, a single vulnerability on a reputable site can compromise your security. Now, let's talk about a more physical type of threat: social engineering. We touched on this with phishing, but it goes much deeper. Social engineering is the art of manipulating people into giving up confidential information. It could be someone calling your company's IT department, pretending to be a panicked employee who forgot their password. It could be someone tailgating, following an authorized employee into a secure building by pretending to have their hands full of coffee. There is also baiting, where an attacker leaves a USB drive in a parking lot with a label like executive salaries or confidential photos. Someone picks it up, gets curious, and plugs it into their work computer. The USB drive then automatically installs a backdoor for the hacker. This type of attack reminds us that the weakest link in any security system isn't the firewall or the encryption, it's the human being. We are hardwired to be helpful and curious, and hackers use those very traits to bypass millions of dollars in security technology. What happens when a hacker finds a hole in a software program that the developers don't even know about yet? This is called a zero-day vulnerability. The name comes from the fact that the developer has had 0 days to fix the problem. Zero-day exploits are the holy grail for hackers and government intelligence agencies. They are incredibly valuable because there is no defense against them. Until a patch is released, anyone using that software is vulnerable. There is a whole underground market where these vulnerabilities are bought and sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It makes you realize that the software you use to run your life, from your operating system to your web browser, is likely full of secret doors that have yet to be discovered. Another sophisticated method is the brute force attack. This is the digital version of trying every possible combination on a lock until it opens. With modern computing power, attackers can use automated scripts to try millions of common passwords in a matter of seconds. This is why password 123 is so dangerous. A variation of this is the dictionary attack, where the software tries words found in a dictionary, including common variations and substitutions. To combat this, many systems now use rate limiting, which locks an account after a certain number of failed attempts. However, attackers have found a way around this with credential stuffing. They take a list of usernames and passwords stolen from one website breach and try them on hundreds of other sites. Since most people reuse the same password for multiple accounts, a single hack at a small forum can lead to a compromise of your bank, your email, and your social media. We also have the inside threat. Not all cyber attacks come from the outside. Sometimes the threat is a disgruntled employee, a contractor with too much access, or someone who is being blackmailed. Because these people already have legitimate credentials, they can bypass most perimeter defenses. They can steal trade secrets, plant logic bombs that will delete data after they leave the company, or simply leak sensitive information to the public. It reminds us that trust is a vulnerability in itself. A system that is too open to its users is just as dangerous as one that is too open to the internet. Let's look at a more subtle attack on the way the internet works. IP spoofing. Every device on the internet has a unique IP address. When you send data, your IP address is included so the destination knows where to send the response. In IP spoofing, the attacker sends packets of data with a spoofed or fake source IP address. They make it look like the data is coming from a trusted internal machine or a reputable website. This can be used to bypass firewalls that only allow traffic from specific addresses. It can also be used in amplification attacks. The attacker sends a small request to a server using the victim's IP address. The server then sends a much larger response back to the victim. By doing this with thousands of servers, an attacker can drown a victim in traffic they never even requested. There is also something called bluejacking and bluesnarfing, which target Bluetooth devices. Small, seemingly harmless signals sent to your phone or laptop can be used to send unsolicited messages or, in the case of bluesnarfing, to steal your contacts, messages, and photos. As we move toward a world of the Internet of Things where our toothbrushes, refrigerators, and light bulbs are all connected to the network, the attack surface is expanding exponentially. Most of these smart devices have very little security, making them easy targets. An attacker could use your smart light bulb to gain access to your home Wi-Fi, or use thousands of smart fridges to launch a DDoS attack on a major bank. One of the most complex styles of attack is the Advanced Persistent Threat, or APT. This isn't a single event, it's a long-term campaign. It usually involves a group of highly skilled hackers, often backed by a nation-state, who target a specific organization for a long period of time. Their goal isn't to walk in and steal money, it's to stay hidden. They infiltrate the network, move laterally to find the most sensitive data, and slowly exfiltrate it over months or even years. They use custom malware, zero-day exploits, and sophisticated social engineering. An APT is like a silent spy living in your attic, watching everything you do, and slowly taking copies of your most valuable documents without you ever knowing they are there. We should also discuss logic bombs. This is code intentionally inserted into a software system that will set off a malicious function when specified conditions are met. For example, a programmer might hide code that deletes the entire company database if their name is removed from the payroll, or a piece of malware might sit dormant for months until a specific date, like a digital time bomb. This makes security audits incredibly difficult, because the code itself might look legitimate until the trigger occurs. Then there is rootkits. A rootkit is a collection of software tools designed to give an attacker root or administrative access to a computer while hiding its presence. Rootkits operate at a very deep level of the operating system, often below the level that traditional antivirus software can scan. Once a rootkit is installed, the attacker has total control. They can change system files, monitor everything, and even tell the operating system to lie to any security software that tries to find it. Removing a rootkit often requires a complete wipe and reinstall of the operating system, as it's impossible to know if the system can ever be trusted again. In the world of mobile devices, we have jailbreaking and rooting, which some users do to gain more control over their phones. However, This also removes many of the built-in security protections. Attackers use malicious apps to target these devices. You think you are downloading a cool photo editor, but the app is actually requesting permission to see your contacts, read your messages, and track your location. On mobile, the permission screen is the front line of the battle. Most people just click allow without reading, giving the app total access to their digital life. Let's not forget eavesdropping and packet sniffing. These involve using software to capture and analyze the raw packets of data traveling across a network. If the data isn't encrypted, meaning it's sent in plain text, the attacker can read it as easily as a postcard. This is why HTTPS and encryption are so vital. Encryption turns your data into gibberish that can only be understood by someone with the correct key. Without it, the internet is like a crowded room where everyone is shouting their private information for anyone to hear. Another emerging threat is deepfakes and AI-driven attacks. We are entering an era where AI can be used to create realistic video and audio of anyone saying anything. Imagine a phishing attack where you get a video call from your CEO telling you to wire money to a specific account. It looks like them, it sounds like them, but it's entirely generated by a machine. AI can also be used to automate the process of finding vulnerabilities in code, making hackers faster and more efficient than ever before. We are moving toward a world where the battle isn't just human versus human, it's machine versus machine. So why does any of this matter to you? It matters because the digital world is no longer separate from the real world. A cyber attack on a power grid can plunge a city into darkness. An attack on a hospital can prevent doctors from accessing life-saving patient data. An attack on a bank can wipe out a family's life savings. We are more connected than ever, which means we are more vulnerable than ever. The psychological discomfort of cybersecurity comes from the fact that there is no such thing as perfect safety. It's a constant arms race. For every new security measure, someone is working on a way to bypass it. But knowledge is the first step in defense. By understanding how these attacks work, by recognizing the psychological tricks of phishing, the mechanics of malware, and the vulnerabilities of our networks, we can make ourselves much harder targets. You don't need to be a computer scientist to be secure. You just need to be aware. Use strong, unique passwords with a password manager. Enable two-factor authentication on every account that offers it. Be skeptical of unsolicited messages and too-good-to-be-true offers. Keep your software updated so you have the latest security patches. And most importantly, remember that in the digital age, your attention and your caution are your most valuable assets. The internet is one of the greatest inventions in human history. It has connected the world, democratized information, and changed the way we live. But it is also a wild, unmapped territory with dangers around every corner. By understanding the types of cyber attacks we've discussed today, you are better equipped to navigate this landscape. You are no longer just a passive user. You are an informed participant in your own digital safety. Think back to that coffee shop. The Wi-Fi is still there, the emails are still flowing, and the world is still connected. But now, you are looking at it with a different perspective. You see the invisible threads, you understand the cracks in the code, and you know that while the battlefield is invisible, the stakes are very, very real. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay secure. The digital world is a vast and amazing place, as long as you know how to watch your back. Thank you for diving into the mechanics of cyber warfare with me today. Your digital life is worth protecting, and the more you know, the safer you'll be. Until next time, keep clicking carefully and keep questioning the code. The reality of our digital age is what we make of it, and security starts with us.